Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Wurtele Center webinar for clubs and organizations at Smith College. I'm Anna Devlin-Gauthier, a leadership development designer in the Wurtele Center for Leadership.
And hi, I'm Annie Del Gusto-Cohen, and I'm also a leadership development designer in the Wurtele Center for Leadership. And we're psyched to do this webinar with you so that you can tap into these resources whenever it's convenient for you.
We're trying something new. This is our first one. We don't know what we're doing, so bear with us. It might be a little clunky, but hopefully, that's fun and relatable because we're fun and relatable.
And it's leadership to try new things and to do some risk taking. So
look at us. We're leading. All right. So the point of today's workshop is to work you through program design from A to Z. This is not necessarily going to tell you what programs to do, but it's going to give you an overview on things to consider as you're planning a program.
So we're really excited to present some tools and resources, and we're going to share some slides real quick with you so that you can see all the specific steps on how to start from E to Z. So are you ready to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the tool that we're using, as Annie is finding the slides, because she is adept at technology. Adept. All right. So the tool that we're using today is, it's called Method Kit. And this is, you can find this on Google because, Google is our friend. And we will be working through the entirety of this sheet today. We made a fake program up. We think it's really fun. If anyone wants to do it,
let us know.
Let us know.
Because we'd love to go.
Yeah, I want to go. All right, so we will start with workshop name, and we're going to end with materials, and we're going to just go all the way through from A to Z. The reason we're showing you this is to kind of see how it can all come together and how this resource is available to you. We will also make this available on the Wurtele Center Smith Social Network page under the resources and files area. So if you want to access it there, you don't even have to Google. We Googled for you.
And while this is a worksheet, it doesn't mean that you need to do it solo. You can absolutely do this with other people that are co-planning an event. So I'd actually recommend that you do that because that gives the opportunity to be able to do some troubleshooting as you go through each question.
And you'll see Annie and I doing some troubleshooting today as we plan our program. So step one, workshop name. JK. There we go. All right, so step one, workshop name. So the workshop that we came up with for you today is called Libras Prefer Peppermint with Lavender. Tea blends based on your zodiac sign.
So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to ask Anna some questions, and she's going to answer based on what we do for our program. So after the workshop name, you'd have a short description. So Anna, what would you include in your program?
So the description I wrote was join the Tea Club, the Astrology Association, and the Botanic Garden to create your own zodiac, astrological, not killer, inspired tea blend. So the astrological not killer is kind of a joke, but this is the kind of description that could go in your social network page. It could go on 25 Live if you're making this a public event. This is the description that should be consistent for messaging across your platforms.
And we're showing you this resource before we're showing you the logistics webinar, which will be the second one we're doing, so that you know before you go into 25 Live what it is that you need. So this is going to get you to think about space, who your audience is, what you need in terms of setup, times, etc. Great.
Cool.
So
next step.
What's our goal for our program?
The goal for our program is to build community, drink tea, make a friend, take a break.
Great.
Yep.
So that feels like that's something that could happen about any time. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily seasonally specific or it happen at any time of the day. So what are you thinking about for when you might want to have this?
So while this is not seasonal, I think that people need these things near the end of the semester. So I'm hoping for December 5th as a nice date. It's a Thursday. It's casual. It's not the Friday. There's no pressure of the Friday, but it's, it's a nice wintry time to drink tea. You bring up a really good point though that I want to highlight. So you're saying that sometimes there are events that it really does matter. The goals do tie into other things, and that's important to note, right? Our goals for this event are very broad. Your goals could be very specific. They could be like, we want to get 10 new members at this event. Really flush out what those goals are. Because they're going to help you later as you need to benchmark and track and assess and see how you did.
Absolutely. Great.
So sorry, this is date, time, location.
So Anna had talked a little bit about finding it that it's nice to do this at the end of the semester. So that's good when you're having some forethought and thinking about what, like, if it's a program that involves relaxation, when could my community really benefit from that? And then also to think about your audience in terms of like how many people you want to get there. Do you want them to be there all at the same time? Is it the type of program where people can come and go? And so if so, is there a key time that you want to get your audience there? So for this program, you'd say, what do you think is a good time to get folks there?
So I think that we're going to kind of go around dinner time. And it's not necessarily there's no presentation. You don't have to sit and stay, right? So you can come make your tea blend, check it out, talk to the people, and then head out. So I'm thinking kind of a bigger time block. Awesome. But you don't have to, you can stay for like 10 minutes.
So that's great. So that means that your audience gets to be fluid.
Right.
And you get a lot of different types of traffic. So if you have it around dinner time, you know that there aren't classes that are happening then. So it's important to be thinking about what your program might be in conflict with. And that's also something that you can go into the calendar on the website or 25 Live and see if there are other competing events, so that you don't plan something that you want really high traffic happening at the same time as like something really exciting, something else exciting happening on campus.
Awesome. So in terms of location, it comes up later, but I'm going to talk about it now. So in terms of location for this event, I wanted it to be a little bit cozier. So not the Carol Room, but I was thinking 205 in the campus center. It's a little bit like tucked in. And we can make it cozy with our setup, which we'll talk about later.
And that's great because it's also in an accessible central location.
Ooh.
So that's one thing to think about too, is your event accessible? And if not, what do you want to do to be able to make it so? So thinking about if you're going to be in a building, does it have an elevator? Or if you want a lot of traffic, maybe you want a room that has a couple different doors or entry points. So like 205 is super cozy, but if you did it in 103, 104, you have two separate doors, right? So thinking about what do I need out of my audience? What do I need out of my space? And then sometimes even when you know exactly what you want, you don't always get it. So this really helps you to think and plan ahead, just because there's lots of amazing spaces on campus that lots of people want. So it will help you think through like, this is my ideal space. And if I don't get it, what's my second, third, and fourth option?
Awesome. Cool. This is our final slide.
So who do we want to go there?
All right. So, excuse me. I think that this event should be members of the three clubs, the Astrological Association, the Tea Club, and the Botanic Garden, which is not a club, but they're cool, so we'll invite them. We do love ourselves some Botanic Garden folks. All right, so if we've got those three groups that we'd like to come, but then we want this to be a mass appeal event, right? This is not just for people who already know what those clubs are about. This is for anybody. We all like a good horoscope, right? Why not figure it out? Sidebar, I'm really curious, what tea blend would you be? And what's your astrological sign?
So I'm a Cancer. I'm born in July 17th. And right now I'm really digging some calming teas. And with Cancers, they tend to be homebodies and like cozy things and wanting to nest. So maybe chamomile, lavender, vanilla. I don't know. What about you?
Oh, I wrote mine in the title because I'm self-centered. I am a peppermint lavender person. It's like, okay, actually it makes a lot of sense. I know nothing about, I just said in my brain, I just said zoological signs. I know nothing about zodiac signs or astrological signs, whatever they're called. So I'm a Libra, but it's scales. And so peppermint is like really peppy, and then lavender is really chill. So it's like a nice blend.
So see, this is the type of program that you don't have to know anything about tea. You don't have to know anything about astrology. It's just really fun.
Good job.
But for people that are really interested in it, then they can go and like make a really meaningful tea blend. Or if you have a friend that you know is like totally all about the zodiac, then they can do that too.
Killer or astrological?
Astrological.
Okay. All right, just clarifying. This is also why this is more fun to do with a team, because if we were doing this together, I'd be like, I want students, or by myself, sorry. I would want students there. I want them to drink tea. But when you have a conversation, it's like, okay, we really want the people from those clubs there. And then we want the people who know a lot about their sign. We want people who know a lot about tea. Like we want students who have interest in all these different things. So to answer your question that you asked me 10 minutes ago, I want the tea club members, the astrological society members, botanic garden people, but then I want some students who have not engaged with those groups to come in and meet them.
Yeah,
And
that's right. And this will also, there's not a specific question on here about publicity, but this will also get you thinking about if we want it to be broader than the 3 main groups that we're talking about, how do we need to publicize it widely?
Yeah.
Because if it's just for our small event, if it's just for the Botanic Garden or just for the astrological club, we could just do a quick email with them. But if not, you need to, like, all of this information is stuff that you would put on posters or on different kinds of interesting publicity things. Just going back for a second, when Anna was talking about working with a team member, the other thing is you can know is that it brings up some questions or challenges us to think about things that maybe we didn't think about beforehand. So what about allergies? What about space? What about time? Things like that. Like, why did you choose things? So that you have some intentionality around how you're planning your event. Cool. So what are the needs of the folks that are going to be there?
Okay. So I think that for folks who are coming in, actually for everybody, kind of a calm environment, right? Tea is chill, I would say. I'd argue tea is the chiller of the warm beverages. They need tea options. They need opportunities to converse with each other, right? We don't want people awkwardly like sitting there holding their mugs of tea and not talking to each other. Yeah, so calm environment, tea, and opportunities to engage. Great.
That sounds awesome.
Cool.
And those are the types of things, when you think about that, might mean that you'll go back and you'll change your space or you'll change your time or something else. So if you want people to be able to move around, having a room that has a table in the middle of it will not make it conducive for movement, right?
Yeah.
So we're thinking about, or maybe it's nice that if it's right around like exam time, you want a space to just be able to go and chill, right? Yeah. So maybe a room that has a cozy corner.
Bean bags.
Bean bags. All right. So you talked a little bit about the needs. How would you categorize activity types? Like, what do you want to do during that space?
Yeah. So this is kind of the content, right? And you could literally schedule this out like hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, if you need to. But this event is a little bit looser, so I don't necessarily need to do that. I'm thinking about, all right, so activities, maybe we'll do a little bit of like a presentation by one of the 3 groups or by the 3 groups. Like the Botanic Garden could be like, this is the history of peppermint tea, or like, this is what a peppermint plant looks like. It's not just these dried leaves. So I want like the first half hour to be kind of reserved for conversation. And then from 6:30 onward, it's casual tea time. But I also want people to talk to each other. So maybe I should do some sort of like at the table, get to know the people around you, whether it's formal or whether I put like questions on the table. What do you think?
That sounds great. Do you have a plan? Like, is there a journey of like this, I want to do this thing first and then this thing, or like all those activities sound awesome. Do you have a progression in mind about how you want that to happen?
Okay. So they arrive. Well, and I can't really have a formal program because I'm saying it's a drop-in event, right? But I would want someone to walk in, say they're staying, I want the average person to stay for half an hour. They walk in, they sit down at a table, and there's a member, here we go. There's a member from one of the clubs at the table who welcomes them in and says, hey, tell me a little bit about like, what's your sign? What's your favorite tea? How do they go together? And then they kind of bring them into the conversation a little bit more. And then there is probably going to be some sort of like tea conversation in the middle, and people can continue to make throughout that. And then there's like chatting and tea drinking, and they make their little bag of tea and their birth chart and they head out the door.
That's perfect. It's kind of like a good mix of formal, informal, but not really formal, just that there's like a guide when you come in so that people know what to do. They're not walking in aimlessly.
And I have done events that are literally like 6 o'clock to 6:30, people eat dinner, 6:30 to 6:45, introductions, 6:45 to 7. Like you can do, it really depends on your event type, whether you're going to schedule it out, remembering, this is challenging for me, but remembering that flexibility is okay. And if people are running a minute late, it's fine. not fine. So, it really depends on, I would say, the formality and structure of the event. As to how much you want to break out that journey. But think of it as a journey, right? And I think you phrased that really well, of like, what do you want people to experience at what time? So like if you were making a chart here, you'd have like time on the x-axis and then like emotions on the y-axis, and you'd like plot like, all right, I want them to come in and be a little nervous, and then I want nervousness to go down and then end. And I want happiness to come in, like maybe they're bummed out, and I want it to spike when they learn about their birth chart and then spike more when they drink tea. And so think about plotting that as an actual graph, and then you can think about what are you doing at each of those points to make happiness go up, to make stress go down.
Absolutely. I love that.
Might be a little complicated, but you can roll with
it. Okay, so we have some of our logistics. We have some of this plan of like, you're going to come in, we're going to find joy points, we're going to figure out how people want to move around the space, what that's going to look like. Ultimately, when people leave here, what do you want the outcomes to be? Like, what do you want them to have experienced? What's the point of this program?
The point of this program is for them to learn about the clubs and to talk to some, not necessarily to making a friend feels like a high pressure outcome, but to talk to someone new and to have tea that they take home with them. Let's talk about how outcomes are different than goals.
Okay.
So when I think about goals, I think about measurable things that are almost on the back end.
Okay.
And then outcomes are for the participants specifically. So like my goal was to get 20 new people who have never come to a meeting before to come to this event. But my outcome is that everyone that does come will meet someone new.
Great.
Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah.
So goals are kind of for you in the back end. Outcomes are for the people who are attending your event.
Cool. That's great.
All right.
Okay. All of this sounds amazing.
Oh, of course.
Everything's going to go perfectly.
Great program.
I love it. It's going to be seamless.
Yeah.
But what if it's not? What are some challenges that we can anticipate so we can set us and the program up for success?
What could possibly go wrong? Okay. So the first challenge, and this is just realistic when you are on a campus that has lots of old buildings, or when you're on a campus that's not considerate, not ours is considerate, but we have a lot of old buildings. Physical accessibility of the space. So if we can't get to 05, we're going to have to do this in Clark Hall on the 3rd floor, which is not physically accessible to everyone. So a consideration is physical accessibility. So maybe we can't use Clark Hall as our backup because we really are prioritizing accessibility. And so we're going to move somewhere else as our backup. Quick note, you can see in 25 Live which spaces are potentially available, correct? Annie is an expert at 25 Live. I know nothing.
Webinar 2.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said you're an expert at webinars too. I was like, you are.
No.
All right.
So it's going to be in webinar 2.
It is going to be in webinar 2, but sneak preview.
Right.
You can see which spaces are available in 25 Live before you reserve them, so you can check. But it's helpful as you're going through this to list out maybe 3 spots that you'd be happy to go.
And it's also, there's a resource on the Smith College website where you can type in classrooms reservable spaces. So the campus center is great because you can pretty much just walk around anywhere in it and say like, this space feels good, or I like this space, or maybe we want to just have it like on the 3rd floor open. But if you're thinking maybe you need a classroom, or maybe there's somewhere in Hillier that you haven't thought about, you can actually look online. There are pictures of each room. So that if you are doing some kind of a workshop and it's not a social event, you want to know which spaces have tech set up already, or have chairs that move, or tables that move, or things like that. So it's a really good resource to be able to think outside of the box, and to also think a little bit more like, there are spaces that I haven't imagined that could be really great for this. So it's also okay to think about going and checking out spaces in person first before you plan it.
Other challenges, there are more than just accessibility. So we're making things that are edible. So allergies are always a concern. We want to make sure that we can't promise an allergen-free space because we are making, is tea a food? I don't know, whatever.
It's a beverage.
We're making beverages.
But beverage from herbs.
Material.
So there could be allergies with that.
There could be allergies.
There could also be scent sensitivities.
Scent sensitivity, yeah. So how you're going to manage that is up to you. I think for my event, my Zodiac tea event, I'm going to put a sign on the door, and I'll make sure that on my poster it says this event will have herbs at it. If you are allergic, please let us know ahead of time so we can accommodate. And then you also need to just tell people so that they know and they can choose not to come if you're not able to accommodate as much as you try.
So is this are we going to provide cups, or do people bring their own cups? Like, what are we thinking
We
about
are going to, sorry, this one hair. Okay, we are going to provide mugs. The Botanic Garden has generously donated. Thank you, Tim and Gabby. And Sarah has generously donated ceramic mugs that they can take away that have Botanic Garden, Smith College written on the side.
That's awesome.
I know, it's amazing.
What about the hot water?
Coming from a hot water machine. We haven't gotten to materials yet. I haven't thought about that.
Okay, sorry.
So still on challenges. People might be really averse to star charts. So they could be. I'm a little bit joking, but if someone, I'm not averse to it.
This is not like the thing.
I don't get it. Like someone's like, oh, you're a Libra. I don't like you. I'm like, wait, what?
She's not a Libra.
I don't understand. All right. So point is, someone may be averse to star charts. So is there a way to come to your event and not partake in part of it? And I would say in this event, yeah, totally. You can make a tea blend that's just based on who you are, not the specific hour in which you were born and where Pluto was at that time.
Right. So maybe that
3:45 a.m.
gets back to thinking about, really, I was born at 3 a.m. That's kind of fun. Maybe that takes you back to activities for like the people that want to participate hardcore and the people that don't, so that they don't feel like they're left out of a piece of the event. So maybe there's like some fun game or some like worksheet that helps, like tea and astrology bingo. And that's something that could get like people that want to meet a new person, they could choose to do that. Or if somebody is like, I really just want to make tea, but I want to sit by myself and make this tea and learn about it. Maybe there's like some pamphlets around what teas mean and where they're from in different parts of the world.
Other challenges that could arise for your event or my fake event are how to get people. This is hard, right? We have so much that happens on this campus, and we're really, really lucky, but it means that it's very challenging to get people to come to your event. So how to get people is definitely a challenge, and we're going to talk about that at some point. My quick and dirty suggestions are make sure that it's very well publicized and try to get people to bring their people, right? So like talk to an HP and say, hey, we're doing a tea event. Can you follow this up after your tea event in your house, right? Like bring your house with you. Get folks who can bring other people with them and encourage them to collaborate with you. Collaboration is also a really, really great way to bring in more people and build your audience and strengthen your program ultimately.
And word of mouth is really underestimated. How many people go to programs solo and how many people go to programs with their friends? So if you can say to your friends in your house, oh, hey, after dinner, I'm going to swing by this event, or I'm going to swing by this event before dinner, and other people hear you, they're like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So posters are awesome. Emails are awesome. All kinds of innovative publicity are awesome. But also just talking it up can make a huge difference.
Huge difference, yeah.
Okay. So I think you've anticipated a good amount of challenges, which is amazing. Is there any other information that maybe we need for this?
So yeah, so what people should know before they come is if they have allergies, ideally. They're going to need to know, for my specific workshop, they're going to need to know their birth information. And they need to know the date, time, and location. So basically, essentially, big picture, they need to know where to be, when to be there, and what to bring.
Absolutely. Feels easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we got that. You had talked a little bit about like people staying for maybe 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So how long do you think this shindig should last?
So I think I want to book the room and the space, have it like set up for 2 hours, and people can come and go, spending an hour or half an hour when they show up.
I love it.
Cool.
Okay. We had talked a little bit about the space.
Yep.
So your ideal venue is?
The campus center, because it's accessible, it's central. That's all. It's accessible and central. And it has the capacity to be cozy with a little effort put in.
Okay. Do you have a backup in mind just in case?
Bodman Lounge.
Oh.
Bodman Lounge.
I like that. That one's super cozy.
Yeah, really
It's
cozy.
really
Couches,
nice.
all good. Is it accessible? We
We
will investigate that.
I think, but I
think
have
it
to
is.
double check.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about getting mugs donated
Yes.
from Botanic Garden.
Right.
We do have to have some kind of hot water.
So catering.
Right. So, and we're going to need some supplies. So what do you
Okay.
think this whole thing is going to cost us?
I'm going to say this whole thing will cost us roughly $400 or $500.
Do we have that in our budget?
Yes.
I love that.
Well, so we don't have the whole thing, but because we're collaborating with different areas, they're each contributing. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's something to consider too. Are you fronting it and you're getting reimbursed by other departments?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you collaborating with? Are there other orgs? Do they have the funds to be able to support your event? How do you want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have questions about how to get access to funds to be able to buy things, sometimes folks buy snacks on Amazon but don't have access to a credit card, or sometimes they want to get stuff from Stop and Shop but don't have access to transportation. So if you have questions about the logistics of that, please either see the Office of Student Engagement or find us in the Wurtele Center for Leadership, and we can help you navigate all those questions. This is making me hungry. Is there going to be food at this event? Because I like snacks.
I am hosting this event, so yes, there will be food.
Yes.
All right. So for food, because we would like to have this in the campus center, we are going to go through on-campus catering. So we're going to order tea, snacks, hot water, and we have special permission from the campus center, because you have to get special permission if you want to do things outside of that, to bring in the herbs themselves.
Yes.
That's not food. It's just plant life.
I love it.
So yeah, tea snacks.
Tea snacks.
Which we make sure we have some gluten-free options, some vegan options, some nut-free options.
I love it.
And some options that have gluten, nuts, and dairy.
And all of this. Okay, cool. So that stuff is going to take up some space. We need space for people to be able to mingle.
Right.
But so also space for people to be able to sit. So what's the setup of this going to look like?
So when I do setup for things, I literally draw it out. So you can't see my beautiful notebook because it looks weird on,
there's like little circles and
there's
squares.
Little circles and squares. All right. So I literally draw out the room. I know it's roughly a rectangle. I know that I can do round tables on the one side with 5 chairs at each. And then I can do 3 long tables, with tea snacks, the tea blending process itself, and then one with like star chart making materials. So the campus center doesn't allow glitter, but with markers and no glitter. There would be no glitter. Definitely not any glitter.
So one of the reasons this is important is because when you're in 25 Live requesting setup stuff, you have to think about whether or not you need chairs, or if you need tables, or if you need tables to sit at versus tables to put your snacks on. Do you need to be somewhere near an outlet? Do you need whatever to be there, a podium, etc.? So it's really good to think about that ahead of time, especially when you're like, oh, okay, we could just have one large table. But then it's like, well, what if people want to cluster off? Right? Do we want to change the setup? And is there a room that allows for that to happen?
Try to be as specific as possible with your room requests, giving directions as, like, don't just say facing the wall, because there are at least 3. Say facing the back wall opposite of the windows, or facing the eastern side, starboard side of the sun.
Okay. Are there any other like tech, sound, color things, anything else that we need to think of that we're not thinking about that we need?
Yes, we are going to need a projector with sound for this event. Okay. So options are projector with sound, microphones. Do you need handheld mics? Do you need stationary mics? Do you need a cassette player?
Do you know what cassette players are?
Yeah.
Do you know what a cassette player is?
Yes, unamused. This is an unamused. I do know what a cassette player is, but thinking about tech needs is the overall goal here. One of the things that we always forget, so we're going to tell you so you don't also forget, if you have a Mac, you need an adapter.
Yes.
So they might have some that you can borrow, but it's better if you can bring your own, or if you find an office that has one that you can borrow from.
Absolutely. Okay. And any last things, any other like materials or things that we need for this?
So basically planning our target run. We're going to need markers.
Yes. Okay.
We're going to need paper.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need sachets.
Oh, fun.
For the tea, right? And ribbon
Can
for
we
the
get
sachets.
that at Target? Or do we need to go to
Michael's crafting store. So sachets and ribbons for that, and like little labels maybe.
Mm-hmm.
People could like make their label for their tea. What else do we need? Paper for stickers. We need stickers.
A playlist?
A playlist. Yes, that is why we need sound. Because you want background. Sometimes it's nice for background music, but I think that about covers it.
That's awesome. So let's go back and see if we missed anything. All right, so we're looking around.
We have name, we have description, we have goals, we have activity types, we have journey and phases, participants, their needs, date, time, location, deliverables, challenges, information people need, duration, venue, budget, food, space, sound, materials.
Oh yeah, we rock.
We crushed it.
So there you go. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty comprehensive. It really will help you think through like what you've planned and whether or not you've missed anything, if you have any gaps in your programming ideas.
And it didn't take us that long, right? This is not, it might take you, I did have this planned out because I was trying to be prepared. Is that a Libra thing?
I don't know, but she's better at that than I am.
So it should take you probably around an hour to think through all of these things. It will go better if you can think about it with another person. They are bound to think of something that you will not think of because brains are different and we're all special and everything's wonderful.
And it's also important to just have the perspective that you can plan as much of this ahead of time, and sometimes things will just not work out. So to allow for, a little bit level of adaptability and flexibility the day of, because inevitably, how many events have we done where something is not there that we need, or something's missing? So it's okay. This helps you to like really think ahead, but it's also good to be able to think creatively and quickly and on the spot, just in case you have to troubleshoot.
Yeah. Good luck with your events. If you have any questions, I'm now realizing I should have put this on a slide, but I did not.
It's our first one.
It's our first one. You can email us. We are at wurtelecenter@smith.edu, WURTELE center@smith.edu. Shoot us your questions. Let us know. Or you can comment, I think, on this webinar, and we will try to keep checking it and answer questions as needed. Good luck with your events. They're going to be great.
Have fun. Let us know if there are other types of webinars you'd like to see. And we're both in Clark Hall and would love for you to stop by.
Come hang out.
Thanks for
Bye,
watching.
everybody.
Bye.